welcome to the Journey 2020. I'm Charles Morris, happy to be with you here coming off the weekend. And want to wish the best of those that is going through the storm up north. I got a couple of friends up in the New England area as well as New York and Philadelphia and so on. And so have to call and check on them. Here in Florida, weather's not so bad compared to what they're going through up north. Again, I'm Charles Morris, where we come to you every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. at www.thejourney2020.com. And as you know, if you're familiar with the show, from time to time, I go back into the archives. Well, today, we're going back into the archives to my old show, which is called It's Your World, What You Got to Say. We're highlighting the JAC, the Juvenile Assessment Center, and we're talking about their mentoring program. And if you look at the show, for those who are familiar with the show from back in the day, you're going to see some people from back in the day. So looking forward to showing you this, because you might be surprised. Like, for an example, my friend Bob Biggers, his wife called him Big Sexy. So you get a chance to see Big Sexy, Dana, and a few other people, my old instructor, Rock, and some people that you might recognize. So we're highlighting the Juvenile Assessment Center, the JAC, and the mentoring program. So enjoy. It's your world. What you got to say? What is a mentor? What is a mentee? And how does mentoring influence the life of a child? Well, we hope to answer some of those questions and some more. Hello, everyone. I'm Charles Morris, and welcome.
Welcome.
Boy, it's like, oh, come on. We practiced this, right? Welcome to It's Your World, What You Got to See. We're here at the downtown JAC, I should say. We're here at the Juvenile Assessment Center downtown, and we've been invited here today to talk about the mentoring program, MITOS. And I have some great panelists, and I'd like for them to introduce themselves from my left to right, starting with the lovely lady.
Hi, I'm Vicki Paramore.
Vicki, okay.
And I'm a project coordinator with Project MITOS.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Wanda Martinez. I'm Project MITOS coordinator.
Okay.
Yes, my name is Alan Lockhart. I'm a coordinator with Project MITOS.
Hi, I'm Maurice Smith. I'm the program director of the First Step IDDS program.
I'm Rudy Smith, Sensei Rocky Shotokan Karate Connection.
Okay, welcome everyone, and thanks for taking some time out to come and talk to us today. We're here at the Juvenile Assessment Center. We call it the JAC. I want you to give us a little history on the JAC and tell us exactly what it is.
As you said, the JAC is Juvenile Assessment Center. We offer a variety of services here. Orange County Corrections Department is housed out of here. Department of Juvenile Justice, Alternative Center for Truancy, which is truant youths who skip school. We have Orlando Police Department here also. We have targeted case managers. We have task assessors, treatment alternatives for a safer community.
Okay, a list of a lot of programs. I remember about 2 or 3 years ago, we came out and we actually, I think we did 2 shows from here because of the many, many programs that you have going on here. We couldn't do them all in one show. And I'm going to ask you a tough question of just kind of briefly, whichever ones you want to pick out, talk to us about some of the programs and what they do.
Okay, I could talk about TASK, which means Treatment Alternatives for a Safer Community. Whenever a juvenile is arrested, they are intaked by Orange County Corrections, and after that, they are spoke to a task assessor who does a biopsychosocial assessment on them and ask them various of questions. And after their assessment, there's a recommendation letter that is mailed to the home. Whatever the assessor found out about the client, if they need additional counseling or mentoring.
Okay. Any others that you would like to briefly talk about?
Like I said, we have truancy here. Whenever a police officer sees a child that is skipping school, they will bring the child here to the truancy department. And from there, it depends, they'll be with OPD or Orange County, and they will call the parents, and we have social workers back there also.
On the average during the school year, should I ask during the day, how many a week would...
How many kids are truant?
Yes.
That I would not know. I can tell you how many kids that are arrested that come through here in Orange County, and that's in 1 year, 8,000 to 10,000.
Wow. Wow.
just in Orange County alone.
Just in Orange County. Okay. I know you have a unique program that you want to share.
Oh, yes. Our program is called the First Step IDDS program, which stands for Intensive Delinquency Diversion Services. Our program is targeted towards youth that are 16 years or younger, but we deal with older youth on a case-by-case basis. We deal with first-time offenders, mainly first-time offenders, before they get to the system. That's what the main target. That's our main target.
When you say first-time offenders, that would entail what?
Most of the kids commit like domestic violence, petty theft charges, any kind of charge they commit, a crime they commit. That's their first time ever committing an offense, first time ever into the system, technically.
Well, the reason why I asked that question was because I was wondering if it was based on their first-time offense versus something that, because certain crimes are worse than others. And so that was why I asked.
Oh, yes. We deal with misdemeanors, felonies, all various charges. It's not a particular charge. We deal with all different charges. But then after that, the kids have to fit the criteria. The kids that we deal with are the kids that are going to be the serious offenders later on. There's a certain criteria we deal with, which is, like I just said, is 16 years or under. They have to have school problems like bad grades, skipping school a lot. We deal with any history of family violence, any kids that are hanging around serious delinquent offenders, gang memberships, drugs. Those are the kids that are in our program, are targeted towards our program. These are the kids that if you don't get to them right away, they will be the serious offenders. They'll be in the residential programs, and they'll be the ones that are the serious offenders. Those are the kind of population we deal with.
I don't remember right offhand, but people don't know about the JAC and all the wonderful things that you do here.
Yes, sir.
I was really amazed at all the different programs, and I can't recall them right off, but some of the programs are programs after a program after a program, because this program may not have worked. So this program takes over, then this program takes over. So you have a variety of different programs, and you guys do a lot of wonderful things here. Today's show, we're talking about mentoring, and I actually invited a friend of mine. I was telling Alan, because Alan wanted me to sign up with Mitos to become a member. And as my sensei here would tell you, there's times when he said, are you coming to class? I said, no, I got basketball practice. I coach little girls basketball. And the young lady that I asked to come, unfortunately, she couldn't make it today. We coach girls basketball. And I wanted her to come tell her story as well, because she takes these little girls. Some of them are actually big girls now, and they go to her house and don't want to go home because she takes them shopping, she takes them to the movies, and they just love her. And she would never think that she's mentoring, but that's what she's doing.
Exactly.
And that was one of the reasons why I also invited Sensei here, because knowing him and some of the other senseis that I work with, or I've gotten to know through the years, about the kids that they work with, and the importance of having a positive role model in their lives. So we're going to talk about Mitos, and you can tell us, Alan, exactly what does that stand for?
Okay, Mitos, it actually stands for Mentoring Youth Toward Success. We acquired a 3-year grant from the Department of Education to provide mentoring services at Cherokee Elementary, Rolling Hills Elementary, and also at Esteem School, and also here at the Juvenile Assessment Center. And the grades are from 4th to 8th grade, and the students are they're unique students because they're considered as ESE students. And with that population, you can't find many.
Slow down. They considered ESE?
ESE. You can basically the students have a learning disability.
Okay.
Most with their conduct and also with their academics. And they need a lot of tutorial services, and also they need people that just to spend time, quality time, and understanding.
Now, how would someone find out about that other than watching Orange TV? Where do you find the kids? And, how do you select them, whether or not they're eligible for the program?
Well, I provide services at Cherokee Elementary School, and we have a social worker that she actually do an assessment of some of the students, and she actually refer the students to me who meet the qualification that she considered that the student might need some type of extra services. And many times, since most of the students come from families that are with broken homes, at that school, they feel that, this kid might need somebody who can really be like a big brother or just be like a friend too. And many times, those kids are missing out on that interaction, that one-on-one interaction, because mom and dad, most of the kids that I work with have, they either live with their grandparents or their parents might be incarcerated, or the parents are nowhere to be found. And they need someone, a responsible adult, that's willing to take some time just to say, hey, you're okay.
Oh, see that itself opened up a whole ram of questions, because working here, and I know each one of you can sit here and tell a story about working here at the Juvenile Assessment Center. You know, and you probably can have some very fascinating stories about some of the kids and some of the things that these kids have gone through. I've invited Nina Tom here to talk to us because she's in the school system. And stand up and talk to me. The kids that you run into just every day, some of the problems that you see in the school system, just kind of touch on that. Just trying to teach, and you want to teach, and nowadays, and kids hear it all the time. Back in the day, you couldn't do that. Back in the day, you couldn't do that. Back in the day, but now you hear it all the time. Teachers are spending more time trying to discipline kids than teaching.
Well, I want to say this first of all. I'm a mom, and I'm a teacher, and I'm an educational consultant. And I believe that everybody, given the proper opportunity, can learn. But of course, we are dealing so much with the kids having to come to either JDC or the JAC program, as well as I'm at was considered to be a more affluent school. If there's any difference if the parents would just become involved, and like you said before, a lot of them aren't involved. So whether you're in the role as a parent or mentor, and my sorority, by the way, is Delta Sigma Theta, and they are full of mentors. They want to mentor the kids. It's part of our thrust. So get with the communities, whether it's African American Greeks or Greeks at UCF, etc., and get with them to get mentors for these kids. I serve as a mentor in Pine Hills, and I also serve as a mentor at my school, which is Gotha. But also I'm a mentor to my son and Cameron and his friends, because you can keep on mentoring every day. I made a vow yesterday, which was my birthday, to mentor at least one person a day. I've done 2 today, and that doesn't include my son. So everybody have to take the opportunity to realize the kids have a responsibility, you have a responsibility, and you have to be strong spiritually and mentally and emotionally to help them not be these statistics. So Charles invited me as a parent and a personal friend to discuss that. And at any point, you're more than welcome to get my number or my email address from him, and I'm more than willing to give you ideas to help get the FCAT scores up, to help you to keep the population down and the risk involved, because these kids are at risk, not just emotionally, but psychologically, and it keeps going. There's a pattern here. That cycle has to be broken. That cycle cannot be broken without mentorship.
Any comment? Come on now. No comment? No? I have with me Bob Biggers, and I been talking with Bob, and I had told Alan that I was going to present a proposal to Mitos and to the JAC about an idea that I had that's kind of touched on what she talked about, and that was another alternative for the kids, and that would be for the kids to be able to take up martial arts. This gentleman here teaches a lot of kids about golf and etiquette and teach life learning skills. And also the kids would be able to be tested to see if they do have any type of learning disabilities and so on and so forth. And I asked Bob to come here because he works a lot with kids and trying to teach young kids the etiquette of golf. I have to pat him on his back because there's a lot of kids. And tell us a little about what you do and you mentoring.
Well, as far as golf goes, golf is the only game where you, the participant, keep score. So you learn a lot about a person. If you want to learn how a person will cheat, lie, steal, whatever, just play golf with them for a few hours. So the game itself lends itself to teach you some character building things. And we stress to the kids how to become a gentleman or to be a gentlewoman. And golf is kind of the hook. We want them to enjoy golf, but we want them to be good people more than we want them to be good golfers. And by hanging around on a golf course, normally you don't find too many bad people. You find a little, sometimes I think, a little better person. So when you hang around with people on the golf course, you have to act a little better. And so it's good for our kids to be able to get out there and spend some time on the golf course.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about Mitos. Anything else that you would like to tell us about Mitos?
Well, basically, the audience really explained it to the T as far as spending time. The program is designed so that, as I mentioned earlier, to have responsible youth. And many times, I think adults don't really count the cost before they have children. It's like a game. You know, once they have the child, now you see me, now you don't.
It's interesting because the older I get, the more I'm convinced that there should be a test given before anyone decides to have kids or something. Because it's just amazing. Because I find that the parents are worse than the kids. Okay, and I've been doing this show for 8 years, and I've learned that it starts from home. Okay, and if you got a child that's acting up, if there's a problem, and there are a lot of parents out there, single parents, that do the best that they can. But for the most part, I would say 8 out of 10, that it starts at home and there's a problem at home. For whatever reason, parents can't make their child understand what it is to be responsible. I can remember we did a show last year, and it was on school suspensions. And I had the school board there, Orange County School Board, and I asked the little girl who was in middle school, why was she suspended? And I said, well, why were you suspended? She said, teacher told me to shut up. And the funny thing about it was everybody on the panel, when she said that, had the exact same look on her face, which meant she had an attitude problem. Because you know that if a teacher told us to shut up, what did you do?
Shut up.
Exactly. Exactly. You didn't say anything. You just swallowed that one because it wasn't worth it. She ended up getting suspended, and then we had a little conversation, and I gave her my little thoughts on it. But those are the kind of things that you're dealing with. And being here at the Juvenile Assessment Center, and I know you can't touch on it in the sense to say, well, this is the reason why this is the reason why that. But can we briefly talk about some of the problems you see with kids that's coming through here? Just give me your own personal assessment of some of the problems that you see. We'll start with you.
I can't speak for all parents, but I too am a parent, and I do believe that having been doing this for a while, I have a son in high school, that there is no standard or cookie cutter method for raising children, but we do know that there are some things that do work. And we know that quality of time versus quantity of time does work. Not just because the research indicate that it does, that at least 1 hour of a time, quality time with the child does make a difference, particularly with academic scores and interpersonal relationships. And that's some of the things that Project Mitos is trying to do, those are a part of our established program goals, is to increase academic scores, to increase positive interaction with their peers and their parents and their teachers alike, to increase community involvement, to increase their positive attitudes towards setting goals for themselves in the future. So I think that Project Mitos is simply filling a gap, and filling a gap in many households, whether it be the case that the parent is absent because he or she is incarcerated or both incarcerated, or because we're also servicing kids who are a part of a population that is growing, not just in Pine Hills or Orange County, but it's growing nationwide with single parent households, whether it's a female or a male. We have a lot of single parent households where women particularly, or should I say especially, are raising kids by themselves and are unable to spend that quality of time or quantity of time in that case with their child. So I think that Project Mitos is not providing a babysitting service, but we are providing a quality service for kids who are falling or on the trajectory towards delinquent involvement. And our kids who are coming through the juvenile assessment have already been arrested. So I think that parents, for the most part, are doing the best that they can with the resources that they have available for them. And we know that different parents based in different areas with different socioeconomic status and different resources are able to parent differently. And for those parents who are not able to parent effectively, Project Mitos fills that gap. And we ensure that the kids are coupled with a responsible adult mentor who has that quality of time to get back to a child to ensure that he or she completes their homework, completing assignments, projects, and fulfilling that social need that we need for our children too, because they are a part of our generation. We need them to be socially adept. We need them to be culturally adept. So just piggybacking off the things that you discussed, I think that we should partner Project Mitos that is with other organizations that are providing services here in the Orange County areas with Sensei, providing karate. Those are cultural services, those are social activities, and with our Greek sororities and fraternities, with our colleges and other institutions, we should do that, and we should do a better job of it. And I think that this show or this program and shows like it will help facilitate that. So.
You know, you just make me want to sign up right now. What's you Well, I'm serious. I mean, you hit it right on the head. My best friend. I have a new best friend. Go ahead.
What was the question?
I was talking about your own personal opinion of some of the, what are some of the problems, some of the things that you see that comes through the JAC, what you may see with the problems with the kids?
Well, I think Vicki touched really on all of it. Just in the sense that a lot of the kids do come from single-parent homes, and they are shuffled from cousins and aunts and uncles, grandmothers. A lot of times, their parents are incarcerated, and I think that's a problem because children really need stability. And a lot of kids that do come through booking in the back have had none.
How does Mitos work with the parents? Do you have any programs that work with the parents or anything specific for the parents when it comes to Mitos? And Alan would be the one that would answer that.
So basically with the parents, they must be available in order for the child to be involved in our program. They have to make sure that the child is at the orientation. They must provide signatures for all the paperwork that's included. And also we do a lot of visits, and we do a program, so we do meetings also with the child and the parent, and also it's a meeting that the child has an opportunity to invite anybody if they want to. If they want to invite their parents, they can. If they want to invite their friends or their teacher, whomever. And but the parents must play the major part, because the responsibility relies on the parent to make sure that the child go through all the procedures in order to be a part of the program. But as far as having a program for the parent itself, Project Mitos don't have that. We basically provide services for the youth. But providing that service with the youth, we are providing services with the parent as well.
Okay. Now, I was in a meeting with you about two weeks ago. And I guess I should have known while I was here, but
Okay, that was actually a parent board meeting. We're incorporating a parent board meeting in our program where the parents have a chance to verbalize any information they want to, concerns, anything that they can offer, so that to help better serve the community, to help Project Mitos to be one of the best programs in the state. And we want the parents involved because parents have a lot to say. And because how else can we reach out to the child unless the parents are there to verbalize their concerns and their information as well.
yeah, because like I said, doing this show, I think it's going on his 8th year, and that's what I've learned, that the parents probably need more programs than the kids, because like she was saying, it's very hard for the teachers to teach because they're too busy saying, stop this, sit down, don't do this, da-da-da-da, and they can't teach. But all of that starts at home. And as a person, I was talking about me coaching, and some of the kids look at me like I'm crazy, because I'm like, and I just tell them straight up, I say, you know what, I'm not getting paid for this, and I be straight with them, and I don't abuse anyone, but I'm honest, and I tell them, I say, I'm giving you my time. You're going to have to give me something in return. And there's not going to be one person in here that's going to disrespect me for 1 second. And if you feel you need to do that, you need to go home. And I don't have a problem with telling you to go home. And if you're parents, and it's the same thing. I tell the parents, I say, you know what? I'm here on time. I do this, I do that. You got to be here. So the whole thing is that you try to get the parents to understand. You try to get the kids to understand. But it has to start at home. And for some of the parents, and some of the kids come from, a mother and a father. And then there's times when you talk about the mentoring, because I've been in situations, and I wish Sheila was here because she could tell you that there's times when you're dealing with the kids and the mother and the father are fighting. So now they're coming to one of us, so now we got to have a shoulder for them to lean on, and and you can't take sides, but we all have our issues.
Basically, my thing is it's all about respect. I mean, these kids don't respect the parents. You can't expect them to respect the teachers or anybody else if they don't respect the parents at the home. I mean, it's all about, and I think a lot of two-parent homes, I think the parents need to be more involved in the schools, because I know with me growing up, my parents were, my father knew everybody at school. So if I ever try to get in trouble, they would call him first. I mean, I think the parents need to be more involved in the schools, a lot more involved. I mean, parents need to be right there with the teachers, have a relationship with the teachers, the principals, and I think that's where it's key at.
As we were talking earlier, pretty sure you can relate to this. Coming from, and I would say a society that mentored your neighbor, and we all gonna tell the story. You were 2 blocks over, and the person 2 blocks over knew you, and if they saw you doing something wrong, they disciplined you, and then they sent you home, and before you got home, you already knew what was gonna happen. You already knew that your mother was gonna know. I mean, that she was gonna, receive that phone call, blah 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 blah. I called little Charles over here, and da 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 da, and I spanked this little butt, and da da da. So when you got home, you walking the door like this right here, But now, to be honest, if I'm in the grocery store, if I'm in a store, and if I see a little kid, and I may play with the kid, but I don't want the parent to know that I'm making faces at the kid, because I'm apparently, why are you talking to my child? So you kind of get a feel for the parent, because there's times they don't want you to see, and I can understand why, in a sense, but at the same time, it's different and it's scary at the same time, because the old saying, it takes a village, and time is just different.
Exactly.
Sensei.
I'm sorry. I was going to make a comment. I was just thinking that things you're saying are optimal or explanations for what is happening with our kids today, because certainly we don't believe that there's something in the water and kids are totally different biologically or innately different from what we were when we were younger. We're the same people biologically.
Right.
So the explanation, we haven't biologically changed. The explanation has to be social in nature.
That's right.
So society itself changed, and the laws and the rules and the regulation that govern us as people change. So with that, with an evolving nation, a society, the rules change, and particularly how we raise our children is legalized. It's not social. It takes a village to raise a child, because we're not raising children based on a cosmology or cultural cultural stigmas or anything. We're raising kids based on a legal system that says you will not spank your child in public. You will not even raise your voice at your child, and shut up. It's not even acceptable in school systems now. You have to say, be quiet, sit down, and time out. And those particular things. So culturally, it doesn't even fit into many other ethnic and racial groups. Time out, hush up, and sit down doesn't even work. But it's the American society, the American way of doing things. But we are a diverse nation and society of people that bring our own cultural explanations for how we punish our kids, or discipline our kids, or reward our kids. All those things are different. So now we're dealing with a generation of kids who know that Miss Becky, their teacher, cannot spank them or should not say shut up to them. I mean, we serve in a military now to where we have 18-year-olds going off to war and dying, but they can hold up flashcards that says you're stressing me out in basic training. So the society, has changed. And so we're not really preparing our kids to even function in the type of nation we live in, because we're so afraid of being considered to be a bad person, which is why you refrain from doing little faces at the kid in the grocery market, because you're potentially a pedophile.
Right.
So that's different from the society that you were raised in. You're trying to implement those same cultural values that you were raised in, because you feel like, I'm a pretty good guy, I turned out okay, it must have worked. But it doesn't work now, because we live in a different society that are governed by different rules and regulations. So the kids have not changed. They're not bad kids. The rules that govern them have changed, and we have less informal control over our kids and more formal control.
I know I was jacked up in public, and my mother didn't have a problem with it.
I want to say something. I come from a home where it is considered by our society now is dysfunctional. My mother's not dysfunctional. I am not dysfunctional. You go through a cycle, but your parents knew when to stop you and to jack you by the collar. And now you're right. You can't say this to your child. You can't say, shut up. But there are ways to make an impact to kids. I have never had a fight in my room. I saw Alan this summer, because I teach at Evans every summer. They don't fight in my room. They don't push in my room. They stand in line at Evans, because that's what I insist on. But I am nice to them, and I respect them, and I'm consistent, and they feel the consistency. But we as parents sometimes, we fall into that thing where they say, we can't say this, we can't say this. My son knows the rules, just like all these kids, and he's 12. He says, that's child abuse. I said, well, Cameron, I would get more rest in jail. And I tell him that, and we just go on about it. But you can't be afraid to raise your own child. You don't abuse your child, but you have to be consistent. And a lot of the kids that end up down here, they end up because they'll learn those rules that the system told them before the rules that the Bible and their family taught them. So we have to also remember kids, and a lot of us here in golf and in karate, those are acts of discipline and honesty, and you have to stand up and be mentors. Don't say, little Nina is bad. Say, let me see what I can do and be a mentor at this age, and then I'll really perfect it when I'm an adult. You don't start mentoring at 21. You start mentoring when your kid's age, or my son's age, or your children's age, and that keeps it mushrooming. And we do get back to that concept of making the whole village be accountable, but it's in this new tech way, this millennium way, but we can do the same thing, we just don't use the same terminology.
Yes, absolutely.
For real, you can't tell your child shut up? No, I can't imagine that.
It's socially inappropriate.
So, yeah, like I would care. Like I would care. Yeah.
Yes, I've listened a lot, and there are certain factors here when it comes to the martial arts. First, you must consider the martial art, it's a form of military. And it's also preventative maintenance for raising children. If you allow your child to go to the martial art program, and whether you're a single parent or you're a heterosexual or wife and husband together, your kid can grow the way you want him to grow if you, as a parent, are devoted to spend the time with the child and teach the child what is commitment. With the martial art programs, a lot of people judge the cover and not read what's inside the book. The martial art program is the best program for any child growing up, girl or boy, teenagers or adults, for that matter. In this country, what this country needs to help to steer the children back on track. Karate begins with courtesy, ends with courtesy. Bottom line, you come to that door, if you have attitude, it stays out. It does not come in here. You come inside this door to be trained. When you leave with value, morals.
I'm sorry, Sensei. The thing is that a lot of people, when they see martial arts, the first thing they think of is the child, the kicking, da. And what he's talking about, and I had talked to several senseis, and I was hoping that they would come because each one of them have a story to tell. Because dealing with kids, and some of the kids that come into the program may have a problem with the parents, or even Robert Renee over in Pine Hills. I was talking to his wife, and there's a lot of kids in their program. And she says, Charles, these kids come in here because not only do they do the martial arts, but they do the boxing, and it's a place where you can just go in and just hang out. And talking about some of the problems that the kids face, a lot of those kids come in and they're hungry. They feed them. They don't want to go home. And she says, Charles, we can't turn them away. They may end up ordering pizza, and they just go in there and just work out and just try to just deal with the kids and just listen to them and talk to them. But getting back to the martial arts, it's a discipline because, like you said, it begins with courtesy. It ends with courtesy. And for the kids that come in there with attitudes, they learn right away because, first of all, they want to leash out. Well, give you an opportunity to do that. If you want to leash out, then let's just say this one right here wants to leash out, and okay, there's the floor, and you can do what you want to do. But this one here may say, okay, well, come on then, let's leash out. And so you become humble real fast. And it's not about really trying to beat up anybody. That's not what it's about. And what you learn, what I have learned taking the martial arts, the last thing that you ever want to do is fight someone. That's the last thing you want to do. That's the last resort you want to do.
Or get an attitude in the dojo. Right. Or get into an attitude in the dojo.
Right. So that's the very last thing you want to do is fight someone. So you learn to be humble because you learn that being a man doesn't mean that I got to be in your face punching you. So it's like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. And I know better than that. And so it's a matter of discipline.
Another question, you may look at it, yes, because we're saying our kids to learn to fight. Teach them how to fight, not just fighting. But fighting is good when you have to fight for the right reasons.
Yes.
But the way these kids learn how to fight, they learn how to fight in a restricted environment and learn how to test their endurance with one another, with a supervised instructor in the middle and 4 judges at each corner, not going outside, knocking fists. And in that ring or inside the dojo, if one gets a hard punch, it doesn't take it outside the dojo. It stops right there. Courtesy, handshake, beer hug, and it's done.
Right.
If it wasn't for the training and the standard and the method, they would be throwing stones when they get outside.
Right. And it's a
regimental.
It's a matter of building self-esteem, and that was one of the things that I talked about with Alan when I said, you know what, Alan? I said, coming from where I came from, and I won't get into that, but I can say that I came from one of the worst parts of Jacksonville, And it's not a matter of bragging or da-da-da, whatever. It's a fact. But I didn't know that I was as bad off as I was until I grew up and saw, another part of the world. So when I grew up, I was like, oh, okay, because I was thinking this is where everybody lived. But I was fine. But coming from where I came from and learned what I've learned, and I found out that I had a learning disability, but I also knew what category that put me in the sense of being locked out of so many things. And I have brothers, I have cousins, I should say I have relatives. You know how you have relatives that you just won't hang out with? Okay? I have relatives that I would not hang out with, and I grew up with them. Okay? And I knew them that they were not bad people. And to me, they're still not bad people. I won't hang out with them, but to me, they're not bad people. But I say this to say this. I say that to say this. If you steered down this path because of the fact that you're not getting good grades, well, there's a reason for it. And for a long time, I felt locked out until I found out what was wrong. And then once I found out that there was other people like me, and that if I go and deal with this way and stop trying to do it like you, and stop trying to do it like you, because that's how I was judging myself. Because I'm judging myself based on how you do what you do. That's crazy. Okay?
One of the unique things about Project Mitos is that it is specifically designed to reach a population of kids who traditionally had not been serviced by traditional mentoring programs. So Project Mitos services, as Alan pointed out, only kids who are considered to be ESE, Exceptional Student Education Youth, kids who have educational handicaps, not kids who don't have any physical handicaps and do not have any mental retardation, but they do have educational handicaps. They have slow learning disabilities. They have emotional handicaps that feed into or explain their educational handicaps. It's because they learn in different ways. They learn other than in traditional modes of understanding, with the teacher standing in front of the classroom, giving out lessons, write it down in your journal, and this is what you need to do at home. Well, it doesn't mean that the child is bad or even different. It just means that he or she has a different strategy of learning, which is why we really pride ourselves in only scouting or recruiting people who have a quality 1 hour a week to give back to our kids. And we spend a lot of time on our college and university campuses because we believe that they provide a lot to us, but just specifically when we talk about tutorial services for our kids, because we realize that a large or vast number of our kids just need educational enhancement or reinforcement. Someone to sit beside them, give them that confidence that they need, that you're not dumb or stupid. You learn differently. Exactly. And I think that in building that confidence and spending that time with that child, and we are providing a service to society, because we are ensuring that these population of kids who are not expected to pass the FCAT, or who are giving different types of FCAT, who are the tests that administered to them differently, have a chance of actually passing the FCAT. And we know that that's good for everyone, because if they're passing the FCAT, they're going to pass on to the next grade. They're going to be effective in their education, and they're going to go on to become productive citizens. That's good for everybody.
Yeah, it's so neat when you can teach people to think outside of the box and what that means.
Yes. Everyone does not learn in the traditional mode of our learning. And so we've known for a long time it's been one of the challenges to American school system is that they are all taught to teach the same way. So I think that we're doing a very good thing when we're adding tutorial services, FCAT services that are being developed in grassroots organizations and even in our educational institutions. I think that this is where the volunteer services are so needed, because this is after our time. This is time that is going to be needed for people who do not mind coming in on Saturdays, do not mind working after 5, who do not mind giving that extra time, because it takes a unique group of people to mentor kids who have educational disabilities, because it can become frustrating, but it's so rewarding when you know you've done something for someone and it actually worked. Mm-hmm. You know, we're not degreed in this, we're not specifically ordained to do this. We're just a group of people who know that quality time does make a difference. And if it's tutorial based or academic in nature, we can all do that. That's something that we can learn to do, and we can do because it's needed. And it works.
Is there anyone on the panel that know about the 40 developmental assets? No? Yeah. We're going to talk about that after the show. What that is that there's been a research done that says that if your child has a certain amount of these assets growing up, then this child will become a productive citizen. So you need to ensure that they take part or have these development assets in their lives. That's how they can become a productive citizen of the United States. Which brings me to things. Dana, you think I was going to get to you, did you? Huh? Yeah. Okay. Dana Mary. And you're going to tell us your story.
I am a visionary of ADHD Ministries, and I have a passion for children with learning disabilities and behavior problems. And I have a child, one of each, ADD and ADHD. And I understand there's one rule that never changed and will never change, and that is train a child up in the way he should go. And when he or she get old, they will not depart. And so it's important that we live what we preach. And I stand as a representative of the Lord because I had so many behavior problems with one of my sons, and I did not find out that the reason we were having so many behavior problems because he was not being academically challenged. He was getting frustrated and getting into different things because the work was too easy. He was farther along in the workbook. They wouldn't put him in the gifted program in Orange County Public Schools because his behavior was so bad, and they weren't there to put him in a gifted program. And so what I had to do is to find a Christian school to put him in, and I didn't have any behavior problems when he was being academically challenged. When I put him back into public school, I had more behavior problems because there's 40 kids in the class, teacher has no control of the class, and some of them, not all the teachers, so don't start throwing at me. And so I find that when I could no longer afford private school, in prayer for my child, still seeking direction from the Lord how to train him, I brought my child back and homeschooled my child. God fixed it where I was financially stable and able to bring the child back. So I always minister to people, if you can take control over the life of your child, home educate that child, give that child home instruction. Don't allow the child to go and disrespect the teachers and disrupt the class so that other kids can't get what they need. I have a son with a learning disability. He doesn't grab hold to things like people do, but he's a very talented musician who cannot read music. So we learn to unlock the gifts. We learn to try to mentor them and find, like he has a piano teacher that mentored him. His father died at a young age, and he has a piano teacher whose father, same situation. So they mentored. He's grooming him to be a minister of music. Well, academically, he struggles. That's my part as a parent, to tutor him, to get an educational therapy, to do everything I can as a parent. And in that, I started a ministry because I had a burning desire to advocate for other kids. You know what I learned? That they're angry because the father's not in the home, mom went through a divorce or whatever. There's some deep-rooted things in our children, and they do what they do because they're not happy. And when they come to me, we get happy, we get excited, we put everything behind. And we just get in the presence of the Lord, and we worship God. We talk about, Lord, my kid was in Renee's program in karate. They all three of them was in karate, so I learned to appreciate that. It does teach us self-discipline. People with learning differences, they do learn a different way. I had to respect that. But I want to say this. Our parents, some of them have not lived presentable lifestyles, and kids have learned behaviors. They've been exposed to a lot. They live in communities where there's a lot going on. These are learned behaviors. These babies are innocent when they come out. They don't come out cursing people out. They come out goo-goo. You know how to just think about it. These are learned behaviors. There's no Ritalin, there's no pill that's going to make this child behave. You can make them calm down, be still. But why are we going to drug our kids and put them in different programs or juvenile or whatever? All they're going to do is grow to hate us. So what we got to do is start confessing, well, I was like this when I was this age, and this was grandma did. She spanked my butt, and it worked for me, and turn over because it'll work for you. And so I take my child back into the house and discipline them, because HRS is not home educating. HRS runs to the school when the teacher calls and respect. And if a child, I tell my kids, you call HRS, God is on my side because I'm training you in the way you should go. You call him, you're going to be removed. So you want to go foster care, go ahead. There's the phone. Because you're going to get developed. And I do. And so you have to put the fear of God in the child. Yeah. And they're angry, and you teach them. I teach them vengeance of the Lord. He shall repay. What people do to you, it'll come back. And you have to know. I teach them that you reap what you sow. You don't want, if he stole your bag, you don't want to break his window. You don't do that. So it's character development. We do a lot of things. But I approach it from a ministerial perspective, because I have people in my ministry that would never qualify to be a big brother, a big sister, be a mentor, because in some programs you have to have a background check and all these things, but you don't have to have that to love the Lord and to love people. And so we want to, I encourage mentees and mentors, but prayer changes things. And we got to train our kids in the ministry. That's the one thing that's going to stick with them. That's the only guarantee we really have. Thank you.
Speaking of kids, have you ever heard your parents talking about they were spanked in school? No, I was spanked in school all the way up to 12th grade. The guy had this thing called jaws, had that board. You had to bend over. Boom, not that I was there all the time bending over, but trust me, they did spank you in school. And they had the strap where they used to hit you in the back of the leg, or they would take the ruler, hit you in the hand, and all. See, the good days are gone. You guys don't know what you're missing.
Charles, a lot of people don't know, but here in Orange County, I was born here, raised here, and Holden Street Elementary School, Jones High School, you could, there was corporal punishment. And Mr. Williams, the football coach at Jones High, I hope he's not listening to the show, but he gave me a couple of whacks for pitching pennies. I won't pitch pennies to this day. I'm 56 years old. So you can get the message through other parts of your anatomy that get to your brain.
Why don't you give us the phone number, since we haven't told people how they can contact you in case they want to find out some more information. Who wants to give out the phone number, the email address, the website, and the P.O. box, and everything else?
I can give you a phone number here, 407-836-8800. And my colleague here can give you the phone number at Rolling Hills.
At Rolling Hills, I can be contacted to my direct extension. It's 407-625-1095. I can be contacted. And third colleague here.
You can contact me at the 407-836-8800 or 8825.
Now, how would you go about, would you be interested in working with other mentoring programs? I think I asked you that question on the B Pons show.
Yeah, I think it'd be an asset. In fact, this summer, Vicki had a program at Rolling Hills Elementary that was really, really successful. And would you mind sharing a little bit about it?
We had, at Rolling Hills Elementary School, we, in collaboration with Deborah, Mental Health Services, Project Mentors, ran a summer program. And it grew out of one of the concerns that you talked about with, I think you were talking about with Renee's services, Karate services, that the kids were hungry, and I was concerned about the kids not being able to get that morning meal, that they were accustomed to the morning meal and lunch during the summertime, because I knew that parent schedules would not be changing because of the summer, but the kids would. I was also concerned about latchkey kids who would be home during the summer by themselves, booping out on television. And with all the work that we had put into these kids and the commitment that we had made with them and their families in the community of Pine Hills, we did not want to see them backslide or begin to regress. So the summer program was ideal because it allowed a couple of things. One, it allowed us to continue to capture our kids at one location during the summertime throughout the duration of the summer. It provided for a stable location for the mentor and the mentee to continue to build upon the relationship that they were establishing during the school year. And also, it gave us an opportunity to hone in on academic needs that each of our kids had individually, and we can give the kids individual time, and of course, to feed the kids breakfast and lunch that they were accustomed to receiving during the school year. So it facilitated a bunch, and we got a bunch done. We met our program goals. We serviced almost 30 kids this summer. We did academics, multiplication. We did English, literature, arts, science project activities. We had life skills training from the Community Assessment Intervention Services, which is also a Human Services Associates agency program. They provided all of our life skill training, teaching aggression, how to control our anger, peer pressure, say no to drugs, those particular things. They did that for us, free of charge, volunteer basis. So collaboration was a big project, for us this summer. We worked with a lot of agencies that came in and provided services to our kids this summer, and it worked out really well because we're seeing the fruit of this academic year in our kids who didn't know their multiplications, and they're doing very well based on the teacher reports that we're receiving.
Okay, now the application that you gave me for MyToes. Won't you talk about that, because it's not a matter that you can. If I want to mentor, if anyone want to mentor, there's a background check. So won't you talk about that?
Yeah, basically, we go through a very intense background check. As we know, it's no secret that there's many individuals that have a tendency of harming kids, not to reach them because they have a passion to help, but a passion to harm. And we do a very intense background check. They fill out an application. They actually go through an interview process. We actually interview. We want quality people. We want people that have a passion to make a difference. So we give them an interview. They fill out an application. They actually go through the police department, sheriff department, and they do a background screening with them. The sheriff department and our administration department. They actually, it takes about 3 to 4 weeks in order for the mentor to actually get on board, because they want to make sure that we get people that's going to really spend some time with, because you're spending time with kids.
Okay.
And
now the mentoring program itself, let's just say Mr. Biggers, he's going to come out clean on the background check.
Okay.
Okay, and he says, "Oh, okay, I want to spend how many hours or days a week with the child?" Is that up to him? Or?
Well, we only require 1 hour a week, but
Okay.
if they want to spend more time than that, we really appreciate that if they can. Most of our mentors have done that,
Okay.
but we only require 1 hour a week.
Now, how does that work also? Well, let's just say I want to mentor, but I have other kids. Do you take that into factor if the kids are, interacting with the other kids?
What's up there, basically, that's why we go through the background screening, because through that check, it'll let us know that this person is really, they're really suitable to spend time, because just think about, what do a parent really want just anybody to spend time with their child? So we take that in consideration, and if the mentor have other children, then we're going to trust that we have quality mentors that's going to interact. If they have any children, they're going to interact with their child in a positive way. Everything, we want it to be very positive. We want the child to, we want to establish a trust relationship. So that's why once the mentor is on board, the parent must spend some time with the mentor as well, so they can get a feel of the mentor and make sure that they actually want this person to spend some time with their child.
Okay, so let's talk about what the future holds. What would we like to see in the future for MyToes? Bigger, better. What is it that you would like to see in the future?
Any more schools? I think that some of the things that we as project coordinators talk about all the time is something that you mentioned earlier, being able to expand services to the family as well, because what we have found with Project MyToes is that we need to service the families as well. This particular grant does not allow for us to service families outside of giving referrals to additional services that the families may need, i.e. parenting services or shelter services, home and phone numbers for outside agencies. But we would like to see Project MyToes extended to other schools, servicing other throughout Orange County, and bringing on businesses to sponsor Project MyToes. So we want big businesses, we want agencies to come in and adopt Project MyToes or adopt a school and provide services there.
Okay, we got 1 minute left. Okay, earlier when people who just come in and they didn't hear your speech, because earlier when you gave your speech, I was like feeling the vibes, and I was like, I want to sign up. Okay, you got about 40 seconds to finish it out. So what is it that you want to say to the people out there that they should be mentors? Okay, you got about 45 seconds, and I don't care who speaks.
What I like to say is, whatever a mentor does for his child, it's very important that the parent supports it and doesn't let it get out of hand. So whenever the child gets back to the school or the agency, that mentor has to start all over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's an ongoing process, and the parents has to be a part of it as well, so you can maintain that stable.
Okay. Phone numbers real quick.
47625-1095, 407-836-8808. You can reach us at Gold Hills Elementary School or here at the Juvenile Assessment or Cherokee. Us getting those numbers. So get involved, make a commitment, and be a mentor.
Okay. Give yourself a round of applause.
Speak on what you got to say. It's your world. What you got to say, baby, it's your world. Speak on what you got to say. It's your world.
All right, that is It's Your World, What You Got to Say from back in the day, the JAC, Juvenile Assessment Center, and the mentoring program. And want to thank my guests for allowing us to come over and highlight the program from back in the day. And if you would like to be on the show, or you may have a show idea, you can always email us here at The Journey 2020. And thank you for tuning in. Blessings to you. And as I always say, pick up the phone and call someone that you haven't talked to in a while. Be encouraging, and it makes a difference when you can encourage others. As a matter of fact, you encourage yourself. So make that phone call, talk to someone that you haven't talked to in a while, spread some love, spread some joy, and be encouraging. All right? So with that, I'm Charles Morris. Thank you for watching The Journey 2020. We'll be back next week from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on www.thejourney2020.com. You be blessed.